All right. Thanks everybody for checking out the third episode of the Let's Talk podcast. Today we have Barend from ASC Technologies. And real quick, I wanted to give a brief introduction from my point of view on Brandon. So I met Brandon a couple years ago, telecom conference. I think it was either IT Expo or Enterprise Connect. Do you remember?
Enterprise Connect.
Enterprise Connect. Okay, so if you're in the telco industry, you know exactly the show I'm talking about. Instantly hit it off with this guy. Both me and my brother Josh did. Um, Great individual. I'm glad that he's someone that I consider a friend. We text a lot. We both have each other's cell phones, so not just doing the business email, but actually texting each other. It's been a pleasure seeing him grow in his organization, and just seeing the team that he leads is a great team. So it's been a true privilege and honor getting to know him and his team. So without further ado, I give you Brandon. I'm glad. Thanks for coming and being on third episode here, man. It's good to see you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your vacation as well to pop on and be a guest.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. That's a heck of an introduction. It means a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, you know what? I think very highly of you, and I think most people that know you think the exact same thing. We'll figure we just get it. We'll just hit the ground running.
Sure.
Just brief, from a 30,000 foot view, kind of like I did for Josh. Just kind of tell the audience who you are. A more less professional setting,
Yeah.
more of who you are. Go ahead.
All right, cool. Appreciate the platform. So I'm Brandon. I'm 39. I'm a father first, I would say. I have three amazing children. I have three dogs. I have two cats. I have a longtime girlfriend that lives with me as well. So I have a full house here all the time. Um, really enjoy music. I'm kind of a music buff. I think I started playing music about 20 years ago.
I see that
Just
guitar in
love.
the background.
Yeah, these are two of several. These are the ones I keep in my office if I'm on a conference call that bores me. Sorry, boss, if you're listening. I'll play a little bit. Yeah, and I love to play golf too. I know I'm trying to get Josh out one time. He claims he can play golf, but we'll have
he
to
he
see.
he plays. He play. Tell you what, he's definitely way better than I am.
Is that right? Well, you can't
Oh
fall
yeah,
out of a ditch. That's what they say, right? So.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I could prove you wrong on pretty much all that.
Yeah, but no, it keeps me busy, especially with all the kids, right? So my oldest is doing travel softball now. So I'm in addition to being a professional, I'm a part-time Uber driver, but I don't get paid or tipped because I'm just driving her around the greater Rochester area here where I live. So it's a lot of fun though. I'm very lucky, very blessed to have the house that I have and the things that I have.
I love it, man. Rochester. How long have you been in that area? Were you born and raised, or
Yeah, born and raised.
okay?
I've been here my whole life. Everyone tells me I should leave. Uh, I do kind of want to leave, but I think I'm going to wait until at least the kids are graduated because
Yeah.
the school district here is really good, particularly for my son who um, is on the autism spectrum. There's a lot of great programs for him, so it's just not the right time to leave. But I'd like to go down south a little bit warmer. It's already getting cold and snowy, so
What's the temperature there this morning?
38, I think, is what we're looking
Oh,
at.
see, you guys got it a little bit warmer. It was, well, what did it feel like though?
I don't know. Like I said, I just woke up.
Oh,
I went
gotcha.
out, had some coffee. It didn't feel great. I don't know. Probably 20.
I love it. Yes, I woke up this morning and the temperature said it feels like 5. So that was
Oh, geez.
fun to wake up to. So
Yeah. Well, you live right on the Great Lake or something. I see in your front yard. You have a literal lake in your yard,
yeah,
so
I
you're
see. I've
probably
got
getting
got
cold
got, got
front.
a nice acre and a half pond. So it's yeah, that
Yeah.
the breeze hits that pond and just
Yeah.
shoves that cold air right into your face.
Yeah. You get a cold front from your own yard. That's living.
It is. It's I definitely enjoy it. So from Rochester, born and raised. Are you a Rangers fan?
No. No, I'm
Okay.
actually anti all New York teams. As you can see, I'm
Okay.
a
Okay.
huge
That's
Miami
just
Dolphins fan.
another great thing about you. I love it.
Yeah, huge Miami Dolphins fan. I don't support any of the Buffalo teams. I think they're horrible. So I don't do that. Buffalo would be the closest major city, so you'd have the Sabres, the Bills. Uh, I'm a Leafs fan, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. Those are the
Love it.
the three teams that I follow.
So the only thing I follow is hockey, and it's pretty much just the Blue Jackets. So it's
Yeah, yeah, I know you're like you own the company pretty much. I see you all the time over there.
so me and my wife have had season tickets for quite a while now. So it's yeah,
That's
it's our
smart.
it's hockey's my happy place. So it's yeah,
So
nothing.
would they be in the same league as the Rochester Amherst? That's our team, the Amherst. Is that
No,
the
no,
same? No?
we're NHL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rangers would be the NHL equivalent.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yep, yep. So, you gave a brief little, who you are, some of your hobbies and everything. Go ahead and just, tell everybody where do you work. Tell us a little bit about the organization, maybe your history, not just inside that organization, but maybe a build up towards, where you are
Sure.
now.
Sure. So I've been in the sales for almost 20 years now, which is wild to think about. I've done every kind of sale, really, from telemarketing to running call centers to cybersecurity to IT consulting. I've started a couple of startup companies as well. I worked overseas in London and started a SaaS program over there. I was a part owner or had equity in a cybersecurity company as well. And then I met my boss, Katrine, who you know,
Hmm.
and she needed some help launching the North American subsidiary for the company I currently work at, which is ASC Technologies. What we do, real quick, Reader's Digest version, is we provide compliant call recording, uh, whether via traditional PBXs or through the cloud with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Ring Central. And really, we focus on regulated industries because of that compliant factor of our work. So, healthcare, financial, education, public sector, that's the majority of our end customers. But we primarily do business through the channel, which is where I met you and Josh and all the other great people that I work with. So we're a channel first organization that tries to help people's need to meet federal compliance regulations.
I love it. Is there a particular vertical that maybe you're more versed in, or that maybe that's that you guys, I don't know, maybe work a little bit more cohesively with, or is it truly a pretty much, you work the same with our organizations. I know, I speaking from Volley's perspective, when it comes to those industries specifically, we probably work a little better in the education area.
Mhm.
That seems to be, between the government,
Yeah,
retail, and education. Education, it kind of is where we fit in the best. Would you
yeah.
say there's a specific vertical that you guys maybe fit in a little better in?
Yeah, there's two answers. The company answer is financial. Like
Okay,
financial is probably our largest vertical. From my perspective, my vertical is just people. Like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter
I get
what
it.
industry you're in. But the company, the majority of our end customers are in the financial sector.
I love it. Yeah, he's not lying. He is definitely a people person. I've shared a couple pizza nights with this guy and his team. One thing that we try to do at Volley is every single show we try to do a pizza night, and we always make sure that Brandon and his team gets invited. So it's a great group of people. Maybe speak to your team a little bit. Some of the but history of maybe you and your team. I don't know if you want to shout
Sure.
anybody out particularly, but just
Yeah, of
give
course.
yeah.
So I started as she just kind of hired me to sell. I was the regional sales director. I had the western, I'm sorry, the eastern portion of the United States. We did very well, and we started growing. And she wanted me to hire a couple individuals, so I went out and I grabbed Michael Broderick, who you've met. Michael's great. He has a a plethora of experience in the financial sector. He used to be a day trader, so like he knows all of those regulations. So he was a really good logical fit. And then we expanded into Canada. So I went and I grabbed Joel Capizzi, who lives half the year in Canada and had some relationships up there. So as it sits now, I'm the vice president of North American sales and solutions. So I have two sales reps, two pre-sales engineers, and a plethora of other people that kind of dotted line in. So it keeps me busy, but it's really exciting. They're a great team. We always kind of feel like a family. I'm actually, because I'm on vacation, I have my Microsoft Teams up in the Teams chat, and everyone, where are you? What's going on?
Yeah, we're the same way here, man. It's
Yeah,
no everybody takes takes their PTO, but everybody's still chatting.
yeah,
It's a nice cohesive environment that we've built here. It kind of sounds like you guys have done pretty much the same thing. Work with you work with people for long enough, and you grow a product or organization, especially you really managing all of North America. You do that long enough, you get really close to people. So I love that. I love hearing
yeah.
that.
And you spend more time with them, whether you want to or not, than you do your own family a lot of times.
You
So
hear
you
that,
might as
Josh?
well, yeah, you might as well make it fun, and interesting. So.
I love that. So, all right. So typical, compliance, tell us the audience in case they don't quite know what that sales process looks like or what you guys are actually doing for a customer. Just take a typical customer that you'd work with. Maybe just choose the finance sector. What's it? What are you guys doing for the customer from A to Z?
Sure. Good question. So a customer will approach us, or we will approach them if they have a need to have their communications recorded. That can be from just audio, it could be voice, it could be screen, it could be chat. We can capture any interaction that happens. Customers in regulated industries, specifically finance, will come to us because of a need that the government has put down on them. So
Okay.
whether that's PCI compliance, FINMA, Dodd-Frank, there's so many acronyms out there, and there's so many reasons why you need to have your calls recorded.
And
We
they make
do it in a
something
little
new
bit.
every day.
Yeah, we do it in a little different than some of our competitors. Our flagship product, ASC
Speak to that a
Recording,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah, our flagship product, ASC Recording Insights, is actually native within Microsoft Teams. So we've really embedded ourselves with Microsoft over the past few years. We're a top tier Microsoft partner. We're a transactable app on the marketplace. So we just make it very, very easy for consumers to stick with their Microsoft environment. Native within Microsoft Teams is really important. So you don't have to leave Microsoft Teams at all. Everything happens right in Microsoft Teams. We use the Azure Active Directory to onboard. It's a very, very quick and easy process. And we've just started rolling out the buzzword of the century, which is AI. So we have open AI now. You can ask it questions. It can summarize the phone calls for you. It can tell you if it thinks that the person you were speaking to was upset in any way, shape, or form. It's really, really cool, cutting edge stuff. And as more and more people are migrating from their traditional on-prem solution to the cloud, we become a really logical fit, especially if you're a Microsoft shop.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have really simplified that the entire process, especially being native in Microsoft. A lot of these companies that you see popping up, especially with AI lately, seem to just be kind of a third party thing. But positioning your guys' product how you have, it sounds like you guys have really hit the ground running. I mean,
Yeah,
it's I think it's attributed to your guys' success, and I think the proof is in the pudding there, or is in the eating of the pudding. So it's
yeah,
I love that. I like when 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 organizations take their product and they really they position themselves smartly. You want things to be as simple for the customer as possible, especially
right.
in this day and age where there's a there's a new platform for every type of need under the sun. And I think
Yeah,
that a lot of customers are maybe probably starting to get a little bit uh tired of that. So it's
yeah,
no, that's I think I think that's really awesome. So it's a great. I think that's a great, wonderful intro to what you guys do professionally.
yeah,
Um, thank you for that. I do want to go back a little bit more to the personal aspect.
yeah,
To the audience, one thing that also really connected me and Brandon is uh, I talked to him previously before this. I have Tourette's, and he does as well. It's one thing that going out through my life, and I wasn't diagnosed until my mid to late 20s. So it's one thing. I've always had these audible and physical tics, and it's early in my career. I tried to do a lot of hiding it. But since meeting people like Brandon and several others in the industry, surprising, there's a few of us out there. I being able to talk with people like Brandon have helped me personally be a little bit more confident in myself with all of that. So Brandon, if you don't mind, could maybe speak a little bit, how when was your diagnosis? What was uh, I've talked to a few people. For some of them it was a struggle, but for others, it wasn't. It was something that they embraced their entire lives. So if
Yeah.
you go ahead and speak to that a little bit, because I think that there's an audience out there that watches at least the first two episodes, and hopefully this is a message that can speak to some people.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I went back and forth on this because I traditionally don't discuss it. And like I think in the early part of your career, you mentioned you tried to hide it or kind of run from it, and um, I did that for many, many years. It wasn't easy for me. I don't think, I'd love to talk to the people that say it's been easy because, I want to hear their story and applaud them because for me it's been very difficult, especially in this industry, right? This industry is still unfortunately in a lot of ways the good old boys club, right? And that
Yeah,
club has a cookie cutter persona of who they want to do business with. And I always felt and was afraid that they wouldn't want to do business with me because I was, quote, a little bit different. The one thing that I've learned through my years is that I give everybody now me. And if I'm not the right fit for you, whether that's professionally or personally, whether you're a customer or my employer, then that's all right because I'm a firm believer that talent will always win. And I don't want to be the cookie cutter persona anymore. I want to be me as a person. Particularly, I think there's not a lot of awareness about it. I watch, other, I don't want to say diseases, but other diagnoses get a lot of awareness and attention. And I think
for
it's,
sure. I 100% agree.
yeah, so I think to some degree it's my duty, right? And you've really inspired me in that sense, but it's my duty to stand up and acknowledge that this is something that I have been dealing with, that I've been blessed to be massively successful in my life in spite of that. Um, and then also, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, my son being on the autism spectrum, what message do I want to show him when he's old enough? And
Hmm.
do I want him to look at his dad as someone that didn't accept it and run away, or do I want him to understand that you know he doesn't deal you a hand that you can't play, and as long as you can play the hand the best that you can, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, there's been a lot of struggles, man. I can think of go running to the bathroom before a conference call and having, what we would call an episode or an
Yep.
attack and trying to get it all out so I could run back and just try to be normal for a half hour. And when you really think about that, that's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad that you have to do that. It's sad that people still will judge you, but that's the way that the world is, man. And I went to a conference. I think the most recent thing, and I won't name the conference or name any names, but I had to do a 20-minute presentation, and after the presentation, in front of everyone, lady raised her hand and said, "What's wrong with you?" And I was just floored. This was 9 months ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was the 80s or anything, and you know, you just say, "Hey, I'm happy to talk to you about this in private, or I could blast you publicly, like
Yeah.
whatever, whatever way you want this to go." But
No,
um,
I 100%, and especially I want to speak to I've seen little snippets of you giving speeches, and I'm gonna be you have been a huge inspiration, especially for me personally, to really start talking on these panels. And like you said, running to the bathroom and kind of having, an episode. If anybody has seen me, give a speech or anything, I pretty much, as soon as it's over, I'm gone, because being in a suit, being, with a tie on, or just anything, and just having to be in front of people, it starts it starts the gears working in my head. And so I do this. I've done the same exact thing. I feel I feel less um of the stigma behind it now, that I've kind of embraced it a little bit more. But
Yeah,
Brandon's not lying. He's at the, after, it's the it for me personally, it's been the piling on a lot of social anxiety in like a 30 to 45-minute
yeah.
talk, and then having to kind of go run back to my room, look at myself in the mirror, and it's getting it all out so I can go back to, functioning almost. So Brandon's not lying. It can definitely be a struggle, but um, props
It's
to
weird, right? Because it's I always equate it to like if you had a giant itch, right?
yeah.
And you have to scratch it, but sometimes in public it's not appropriate to scratch it, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
have to just suppress it and suppress it. And I think the other thing that is really important to say to anyone listening is that it's very rarely just Tourette's, right? It's a neurological disorder. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's somewhere in the 90% range that it comes with depression, um, yeah, anxiety, addiction. It's a neurological thing. I have a cocktail of neurological issues, right? I have depression, I have anxiety, I have Tourette's. So all those things play on each other, right? So if you're worried about how you're going to be perceived, well, then the anxiety kicks in. And then
Yeah.
when you're done, the depression kicks in because, oh, I blew it, or they're going to judge me. So it is it's a difficult way.
It can become a very, very vicious cycle, especially if you don't have some sort of avenue to get some of that stress out. I talked to my daughter before this, letting her know, who I was having on and what we were going to be discussing. So my daughter, she's 13, also has Tourette's.
Yep.
Hers is a little worse than mine. And she has those, she kind of suppresses it all day at school. I don't think it's because she is, I don't think it's because she, looks down on herself, but my daughter always, she's a perfectionist. And so she really wants to be perfect as much as she can at school. So, when she gets at home, she knows that this is my safe space. I can do all of my ticks. I can, a lot of neck stretching, a lot of arm waving and stuff. So it, I I had to embrace everything myself, especially like Brandon's talking about the anxiety of it all, because I wanted my daughter to know that it is okay for
Yeah.
her to have this, and that um she's not broken. It's
Right.
she's I tell her, uh, tell her, obviously, she's a very special girl, and that she needs to embrace it, because it's really who she is. It's not it doesn't define her, but it's just, it's who she is. It's
Yeah.
trying to really, especially as an adult, being as comfortable in my skin as I can. That's the most important way for me to show my daughter that she can, um, that she doesn't have to be stressed about it. She doesn't have to be afraid about it.
Yeah.
She can 100% live a normal life. Uh, I know I don't lie to her. There's going to be days where sometimes it's a little much. Because even as a 36-year-old man myself, I still have those days where it, it all just comes out,
Yeah.
and I kind of shut down for a little bit. And like Brandon said, it's the anxiety of trying to keep it all in sometimes, and then once it comes out, it's the depression comes in. So it's something I've also struggled with most of my life, and being diagnosed with it, more later in my life, it kind of gives me a snapshot of, oh, this is kind of why I was this way growing up as a teenager, and
Absolutely.
why I felt some,
Yeah.
certain ways. So it's it not that it makes it any easier to deal with, but it kind of, it just shines a light on it. And when things have a light shown on them, they're not as scary, and they're a little bit more easy to
Yeah.
deal with. So Brandon, thank you
I
so
think
much. I really appreciate you talking more about that. I, I like I said, it's another reason why I feel so connected to you, and I think that a lot of people will get a significant a, a significant helping with this podcast, especially this episode. So it's
Yeah,
I
man. I
can't
mean,
I can't, and I know that you can't preach enough to just be who you are, and so I appreciate that. Thank you for
yeah,
being
no,
open with me.
buddy, I'm I don't want to make this like a love fest, but I am very much inspired by you. You know, you put it out there right on your
Love
LinkedIn,
you,
and
buddy.
I remember sending you a message when I saw that, like, hey man, that really inspires me. You know, because I up until recently wasn't really willing, and I see people like you do it, and you're an ambassador for this, and I think that it is my duty as well, just because of that lack of awareness. Like I said, that our brains fire differently, but there's a lot of positive things that come from it too. I'm a massively creative individual. I think that's because of the way my brain fires. Despite the visible appearance, believe myself to be a very good communicator, public speaker. Um, these are all things that come with it, and that's
Mhm.
to your point with your daughter, and with my son who's on the spectrum. Like, his brain fires differently too, but he's the smartest kid in any room, and he has a superpower. And it's not all gloom and doom. Ours
Yeah.
is different because it's so visible,
Hmm.
and it's I'm sure, like, I make this big deal out of it, right? But I'm sure everybody knows,
Yeah.
like, because it's right out there in front of you. But I almost, you create this illusion. Well, they don't know. I beat them or I fooled them. But what are we doing it for? What's the point of doing that? I guess, especially if you're trying to raise children and do it the right way.
Absolutely, man. Amen to that. I appreciate that. It's I know a couple of people as well that that have it in our industry. Hopefully they see this, and I, I don't want to ever pressure anybody to be public about it, especially if that's not what they're comfortable
Right.
with. But I hope that maybe that us talking about it today will just help them be a little bit more secure in themselves. So thank you for that. So we got Brandon, ladies and gentlemen. He's a golfer. He plays guitar. He is a sales badass. So glad to have him as a friend. Tourettes. I mean, this guy is just a wonderful human being. Brandon, I before we get off, any other cool hobbies that you want to tell us about?
No, well, I think I just told you I really diving into the video games lately, which is such a nerdy thing to do at 39. But uh,
I love it.
I'm on that Grand Theft Auto right now, and it's consuming my life. So I think, uh, which
Well,
is a good way to unwind too, right? If you
well,
had a
I tell
long
you, yeah,
day.
exactly. And I post about video games all the time, so that's I'm no stranger to that scene. So and it's another avenue of I've had a stressful day. I just come home and I turn on the Xbox. Wife knows, like,
Yep.
babe, I'm going to the basement. I'm hitting my man cave up. I'm gonna turn the lights off. I'm turning on that Xbox, and I'm gonna own some noobs on Call of Duty. So it's
Yeah, yeah, I've
it,
played with you before. You're pretty good. I'm not very good at that. I just run around and hope to not get shot by people like you. I just kind of hide.
I, lo- I love it, man. Brandon, thank you again. Other than LinkedIn, and I'll put your LinkedIn,
Mhm.
your URL in the show notes as well. Is
Yeah.
there anywhere else that anybody can find you, or is that pretty much it?
I purposely remove myself from everything but LinkedIn. But you can get a hold of me on LinkedIn or my company's website, which is asctechnologies.com.
That will also be in the
Yeah.
show notes, people.
Yep. Yep. Well,
Awesome.
happy to talk to anyone, particularly about this topic, or just, you know, what I like about this podcast is it's not necessarily to promote business. It's just to have a chat and to humanize people in our industry. So, you want to talk about any topic, you just reach out to me. If you want to buy something from me, that's cool too.
It's always nice to get a little bit extra business, but
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
and then that's kind of the point that I wanted to make this podcast is I see a lot of podcasts in our space where it's just a pitch fest, and I'm going to be honest, I'm getting really sick of seeing it on LinkedIn all the time. Um, Ever since COVID, I think that our culture is really striving for that personal touch, especially just to help elevate the human condition. So
Yeah.
that's the point, and I hope that is what we continue to give out
Yeah.
to the masses. So appreciate you, man. Have a
Yeah,
great
man.
rest of the day, and thank you for being on.
Yeah, no problem. Tell Josh I said hi, and we'll catch up soon.
I will,
All
man.
right.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. See ya.
Yep.